It was supposed to be the perfect morning, a remote stretch of coastline, the sun rising over the turquoise waters, and not a soul in sight. Jacob Marlowe, a fearless surfer known for his love of pushing boundaries, paddled out into the serene sea, eager to conquer the massive waves of Coffin Bay. But as he straddled his board, waiting for the next big swell, he felt an unsettling stillness in the water, as if the ocean itself was holding its breath. Unbeknownst to him, a shadowy figure was circling below, drawn by the subtle vibrations of his movements. What began as a thrilling adventure was about to turn into a nightmare beyond his wildest fears, a brutal, deadly encounter that no one would believe unless they saw it with their own eyes. Jacob Marlowe, a 32-year-old adventurer from Melbourne, lived for the thrill of the ocean. As a seasoned diver and surfer, he was no stranger to the dangers of the sea, but it was exactly that perilous beauty that drew him in. One crisp autumn morning, Jacob decided to push his limits by visiting a remote stretch of coastline near Coffin Bay, South Australia. This place, with its towering waves and untouched wilderness, had been on his bucket list for years. Known for its breathtaking beauty, it was also infamous for something else: a lurking population of great white sharks, some of the largest in the world. To most, it was a reason to stay away. To Jacob, it was a challenge he couldn't resist. The drive to the beach was uneventful, the sun still low in the sky as he pulled up to the deserted shore. The sand was pristine, untouched by human footprints, and the surf roared invitingly. He was alone, just as he preferred. After waxing his board and slipping into his wetsuit, he took a deep breath, his excitement tempered with the familiar edge of fear. He knew the risks, but this was what he lived for: the solitude, the power of the waves, and the exhilaration of facing nature head-on. He waded into the water, the coolness biting against his skin as he paddled out, the rhythmic motion of his arms cutting through the glassy surface. For the first hour, everything was perfect. The waves were just right, and he rode them with the effortless skill of a seasoned pro. As he floated beyond the break, straddling his board and watching the sun climb higher, he felt a deep sense of peace. The ocean was calm, almost eerily so, each swell lifting him gently, the water around him clear and shimmering. But what Jacob couldn't see, lurking in the depths below, was a massive shadow, its dark form gliding silently through the blue. A great white shark, nearly 20 feet long, had picked up on the vibrations of his movements and was closing in. For minutes, it circled far below, studying him with cold, calculating eyes. Jacob, still oblivious, continued scanning the horizon for the next big wave, unaware of the danger that was tightening its deadly grip. Then a chill swept over him, a sudden, inexplicable sense of dread. He looked around, his heart pounding. The water seemed to darken, and the hairs on the back of his neck stood up. Something felt wrong. Before he could process the thought, the ocean exploded beneath him. The shark surged upward with terrifying speed, its massive jaws breaking the surface, and in an instant, clamped down on Jacob's lower body. The impact was cataclysmic. Pain shot through him, unlike anything he had ever felt, as the shark's serrated teeth tore into his legs and abdomen. He screamed, the sound lost in the roar of the water and the chaos of the attack. The shark thrashed violently, its powerful body twisting and rolling, dragging him underwater. His board snapped like a twig, the pieces spinning away as the predator pulled him down into the dark. Submerged, the world became a swirling nightmare of bubbles, blood, and agony. Jacob's lungs burned as he fought to hold his breath, his mind a blur of panic and pain. The shark released him momentarily, and he struggled frantically to swim, but his legs were shattered, useless, and the water around him was stained red. He broke the surface, gasping for air, his mouth filling with the salty, metallic taste of blood. He tried to scream for help, but the beach was empty. The only witnesses, the seagulls circling above and the relentless, indifferent sea. Before we dive deeper into these intense and thrilling stories, I just want to take a moment to say, if you're enjoying the content and want to hear more about real-life encounters with the world's deadliest creatures, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It really helps support the channel and ensures you won't miss any of our upcoming videos. Plus, drop a like and leave a comment below with your thoughts or any topics you'd like us to cover next. Now, let's get back to the action. The shark wasn't done. It circled back, its dark silhouette a shadow of death beneath him. In a split second, it lunged again, its jaws closing around his torso with crushing force. Jacob's ribs snapped like brittle twigs, the pressure unbearable as the shark's teeth sank deep into his flesh, tearing through muscle and bone. The water frothed and churned as it shook him violently, ragdolling him in its grip. His vision blurred, spots dancing before his eyes as his body was shredded, piece by piece. He felt his strength ebbing, the pain numbing as shock took over. Desperate to survive, he tried to claw at the shark's eyes, but his arms felt heavy, unresponsive, his fingers slipping off its rough, sandpaper-like skin. His thoughts were disjointed, fragments of memories flashing through his mind, his family, his friends, the simple, everyday things he would never experience again. But the predator was merciless, its primal hunger driving it to finish the kill. It released him one final time, his mangled body floating limply in the water before lunging forward, its jaws wide, teeth glistening in the murky depths. The shark's massive mouth closed around his head and shoulders, the pressure immense. His skull cracked with a sickening crunch, the world fading to a distant hum as darkness closed in. In those last moments, time seemed to stretch, his consciousness flickering like a dying flame. He was vaguely aware of being pulled under again, the crushing weight of the water pressing down, the cold creeping into his bones. And then, nothing. Silence. The relentless predator dragged him deeper, deeper, until the light of the surface was just a distant shimmer, and Jacob Marlowe was no more. On the surface, the ocean was deceptively calm. The blood-stained water slowly cleared, the broken pieces of his surfboard bobbing aimlessly. By the time the first boat arrived, alerted by the horrifying scene left behind, there was almost nothing to be found. The rescue team, their faces pale and grim, could only pull in the shattered remnants of the board and a single torn fin, the rest lost to the depths. The shark had disappeared, leaving behind only the faintest trace of its horrific, deadly presence. The news of Jacob's death spread quickly, sending shockwaves through the surfing community and beyond. The sheer brutality of the attack was almost unimaginable, a reminder of the raw, untamed power that still lurked beneath the surface of the ocean. Experts and enthusiasts alike were shaken, the tragedy a sobering reality check for those who venture into the domain of these apex predators. And for those who knew him, who had shared waves and laughter with him, the loss was devastating, a bright spirit snuffed out in the cruelest of ways. In the days that followed, the beach remained eerily empty, the once popular surfing spot now shrouded in fear and mourning. Flowers and tributes lined the shore, a makeshift memorial to a man who had loved the ocean and whose life it had so violently taken. The waters of Coffin Bay, once a place of adventure and beauty, now seemed darker, haunted by the memory of Jacob's final, harrowing moments. His death was a chilling reminder of the thin line between thrill and terror, a line that, in one terrible instant, he had crossed. And as the waves continued to crash against the empty shore, the question lingered. What other shadows moved beneath the surface, unseen, waiting for the next soul to wander too far into the deep? Thanks for sticking with us through this terrifying tale of the untamed ocean. If you were on the edge of your seat, Make sure to hit that subscribe button for more gripping stories of real-life encounters with nature's deadliest predators. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up and share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever had a close call with the wild? We'd love to hear your stories. Stay safe, stay curious, and we'll see you in the next adventure, if you dare.